Alright, we're here with Matthew Mayfield in Charlottesville, Virginia. My first question is, how's the tour going?
It's been good, man. It's been a little up and down. We started out with we were doing a run with Graham Colton, guy from Oklahoma City, and he's great, man. His band were great, and we had some great shows, man. Atlanta was good, Nashville was good, a couple in Texas were good, and then we've been out. We Need to Breathe on these last. They're doing these little. They've been doing arenas and stadiums with Taylor Swift, and so they're doing these side shows in theaters. Okay. So we've done 4 or 5 of those. Those have been amazing. I mean,
nice.
Getting to play these huge rooms is a blast.
Nice. So one of the things we saw is you've been doing like a lot of digital shows, things for people. Like I saw the one was like a promotion that you did to help raise money for somebody. Yeah. We're just dying to ask. Not a lot of artists are out giving that way, so we wanted to ask like what the motivation is behind that.
Yeah, man. Well, it's just a cool, it's a cool forum to be able to help, in a little way. I mean, basically, people can pay, $3-4, and it all goes towards a cause, and you just essentially play in front of your camera on your computer on your couch, and raise, whatever, a few $100, or if you're lucky, maybe $1,000 or whatever for a cause, and all you had to do was, spend an hour of your night on your computer playing songs for people that want to hear them. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
How did you get hooked up with that?
I think they contacted me about just doing a couple of those, just trying them out. And I was kind of nervous at first, because it seems a little lame. I'm not real good with that kind of thing, but then as soon as I started doing it, it felt comfortable. You start reading all the chat coming down. People asking for songs, and it's cool because people you say where's everybody from at the beginning, and it's like Connecticut, North Dakota, California, like all these markets that I don't get to that much. Right. Somebody's from Canada, and it's cool to see that, like, hey, there's fans in all of these markets that I never get to tour to very much. So I think more than anything, that's the best part.
That's cool. You mentioned what different markets you've gotten an opportunity. Do you have like particular places you want to go that you haven't gotten a chance to go to yet?
Yeah, man, I miss. I've played on the West Coast a little bit in the Pacific Northwest, but with Switchfoot a few years back. But I haven't done, and a little bit with this band Blue October from Texas. But it's been probably close to 4 or 5 years. Oh. So I'd like to get out there again, do some more on the West Coast. I'd love to do a run in Europe too. I feel like, I don't know, I just have a feeling that this kind of music and the southern vibe would probably go well there, but it's just a matter of getting there and being able to survive and pay for it. That's kind of every independent artist's issue is money.
Well, that's something I was going to ask about is, I read your bio about kind of your background with all this, but how is it going with the independent artist? I mean, is it...
It's up and down, man. It's some months are great, and some months, I guess, it's kind of like any job. Some months are killer, and some months are tough. And I think the best part about it is that you call all the shots, and you make the records you want to make, and your fans, are the ones that are helping you make them. And the big machine is. I think it's one of those things. It's like it'll be there for you if you need it. Like if you need to be launched into the stratosphere, and be this huge band, it'll always be there. But you gotta make fans on the way up, that'll support you. If you're playing 10,000 people, and then 2 years later you're playing clubs again, doing 1,000 people. I mean, you've still made it. If you can have 1,000 people sing your words every night, man, you've made it. Doesn't get any better than that. So the rest is gravy, I suppose.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the creative process. It's one of the things we like to ask because sort of every artist has a different way of doing things. Yeah. And you mentioned having 1,000 people sing your words. It's gonna be pretty interesting. So I wanted to ask, about the songwriting process for you and how that all goes down?
Yeah, I mean, it's different with every song. And sometimes you'll sit down and the whole song will spill out in one night, you know, or a couple hours, or, you know, that song Fire Escape, you know, I wrote it with my buddy John Paul White, and we, you know, I mean, it literally spit itself out in probably an hour, hour and a half, it was done. But, you know, for me, you know, an Element was the same way when I wrote that a long time ago. But I think generally it's like I have a melody, you know, start with a melody, whether it's something I was humming in my car, and I grab my phone and, you know, put it on voice recorder and go home and chase it, you know, and that's usually the process for me, is just find a melody, go somewhere quiet and chase it down, and sometimes you're lucky and you'll get it and you'll get the whole song, and sometimes you'll be lucky and you get 2 lines, you know. A lot of my songs, you know, it may be a 6-month thing, you know, where I get the chorus and then I'm just trying verses and nothing's working, and then one day, you know, it just happens.
Clicks.
So
you mentioned that sort of the southern thing, and I think that's one of the things that makes your music as good as it is. And I was wondering if you could give us a little bit about sort of the bands that the influences, obviously Zeppelin, as we heard during soundcheck, but also what other music is sort of your past inspiration.
Yeah, no, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, I think for the consistent ones, since I was a kid, have been, I loved Guns N' Roses growing up. They were a big deal. Led Zeppelin was a big deal. I love Peter Gabriel. I love Bruce Springsteen, who those dudes got to meet. Reed got to meet the other night, which is pretty cool.
A little jealous?
A little jealous,
yeah.
Man. They sent, Bear sent me a picture of the guitar that he signed.
Oh.
I was like, you gotta tell me that story.
Yeah.
He's been pretty consistent. But then, you know, there's some newer stuff. Like I love that Youngsy record that came out, you know, from Sigur Rós. I love the Strokes. I love just am I playing right now that I really love. Foo Fighters, big one. I'm actually gonna cover one of their songs tonight.
Great.
So so love Dave Grohl. I think he's our generation's hero. You know, he's the guy that's, you know, can do it all, and he's been in 2 massively successful, great bands. You know, so I kind of have a man crush on him.
That's awesome.
He's kind of the ultimate. You know.
Have you got to meet him yet?
I have not. I have not, but I mean
that's the dream gig, right?
Yeah, man. You know, he's paid his dues, and he's exactly where I'd love to be in 20 years, you know. So, don't think I'll ever get there, but maybe.